A new update for Assassin's Creed Valhalla should be hitting soon, and we already have some info from post-launch producer Jose Ariza on what might be included. Plus there are some other hints and leaks for future content that might also be coming with that new update. In this video we'll tell you all about that, so if that interests you, a like on the video would really help the channel out. And let's go! Don't forget to enter in our weekly Helix credits giveaway for a chance to win 2300 Helix credits. You can enter via the link in the video description, and remember that you have to be a subscriber of the channel to enter. Good luck! And if you're caught off guard by the new voice, don't worry, you've clicked on the right channel, but Jordan is currently on a vacation, so the other members of the channel, that's Joyce and me, Dennis, in case you didn't know, are taking over content until he gets back. So, different voice but same content, and speaking of content, let's get into the video because we have a lot to talk about. So the last update for Assassin's Creed Valhalla launched on the 27th of July, which means that according to Ubi's 5-week release schedule, the new update should be hitting next week. And well, that seems to be very likely indeed, as PlayStation GameSize reported on a new Valhalla update being added to the database yesterday, also stating that it was a big one, so that means that we're almost certainly getting that new update next week. Probably Tuesday, August 31st, if I had to guess. We should also expect the patch notes soon then, and we will of course make a video on those as soon as they go live. Even though the official channels haven't said anything about the update yet, we do have some inside information from Jordan's interview with post-launch producer Jose Ariza, who was kind enough to share some information on a new piece of content we can expect in the next update. So, let's listen to what he has to say.
Can you tell me more about the river raids that are of course coming, I would imagine, in the next update, because you're still saying summer?
Yeah, indeed. Yes.
Cool.
I will confirm that. Yes, you
That's
will.
awesome. That's awesome. And
Yeah.
yeah, we saw druids. That was kind of a surprise because in the E3 trailer we saw the Irish enemies. So it's cool that we get to fight druids as well, and that's like free for everyone, right? Like even if
Yeah.
you don't own the druids DLC, that's really cool.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, you will see that in the next title update. So the idea, and I think going back to our previous conversation, if you remember, I said, we wanted to take some of the feedback that we got from all the players. We wanted to sort of elaborate and adapt based on what you guys liked and didn't like. So indeed, the next map pack will see, a river in Ireland, and then you will also see Francia featured. And within that,
Awesome.
there's also elements that represent sort of the flavor of each expansion. There are some new gameplay elements. I don't want to spoil them, but I think you already saw some of them already in the video.
Yeah.
But the idea was to basically take this idea of risk versus reward that we saw in the river raids, take the feedback from you guys, and see how we could improve that.
So the main takeaway from this is that yes, we will be seeing the second set of river raids added to the game in the next update as confirmed by Jose. With new rivers in Ireland and Francia, we will likely also see the new enemy types from both expansions in those river raids, and in fact, for those of you who remember, we already saw some Irish enemies in a river raid setting during Ubisoft's E3 presentation. I'm also curious about these new gameplay elements Jose mentioned. I think I might have an idea on what those are, but more on that later. First, let's get back into that interview, as Jordan was also able to ask some questions about the difficulty of the river raids.
Is there something you are doing to make them even more challenging than they are right now?
Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah, but they're never going to be ultra hardcore.
No, sure.
So we're still trying to hit the balance because, like I said last time we chatted, some people thought they were intimidated, right? They thought
Yeah.
because of the power level recommendation that it was too hard, and we honestly do want everybody to try them and enjoy them. So we don't want them to be prohibitive in terms
No.
of difficulty.
Makes sense. And because level scaling right now, I love, by the way, that you guys did level scaling. For me, like, I can fight skull enemies, like, that's
Yeah.
really cool for me. But that doesn't impact the river rates. Is that something that will change in the future, or is it like set in stone?
It will not impact the river rates.
Okay.
It's set in stone. Well, it's sort of if we were to have it impact the river rates, it means that we need to go both ways, right?
Yeah,
So we would need to allow you to scale it up and down to be fair.
fair enough, yeah.
And obviously, if you scale it down, it sort of denies the entire experience
Yeah.
of
Fair
risk
point.
versus reward, and you having to really choose, like, hey, do I take my cargo and go, or do I risk raiding another
Yeah.
location? So I think it would invalidate the core fun
Okay.
of the game mode.
Awesome.
So no super challenging river raids just yet, but that doesn't mean that there's no reason to jump back in if you've completed the previous content already, because new raidable locations do of course bring new rewards with them. And we already have an idea as to which rewards we might be able to find thanks to a video that Andy Reloads made a while back on some river raid related files in the game. A link to his channel will be in the video description, but now let's discuss some of those findings that we can now pretty much confirm thanks to the info that Jose gave us. So in his video, Andy mentions the existence of 3 new rivers, the rivers Burba or Barrow and Erith in Ireland, and the river Rhine in Francia. Now with Jose confirming that both Ireland and Francia are locations that we will be raiding in the second content drop for the river raids, I think it's very likely that these are the rivers we will be sailing on then. And that's actually pretty huge, because that means that the amount of raidable rivers will be doubled with the next update and will also include new enemy types in both the Irish and Frankish maps. But of course we're all way more curious as to what loot and rewards we can find in these river raids, and we also have some info on that from Andy's video. At this point I do want to give a disclaimer though, this information was data mined, so that doesn't mean it's 100% confirmed. We've seen a lot of leaked content make its way into the game already, but still take it with a grain of salt. But yes, Andy mentions the existence of a new armor set, Lou's armor, and 2 new weapons, Lou's champion spear and Francia's champion sword. Like with the St. George set, we will likely be finding clues that lead us to new locations to find the different pieces of armor and the 2 new weapons, as files for those clues have also already been found in the game. So don't expect a Wayland armor situation where you are just able to buy the pieces with supplies, as it seems like we'll need to go on a good old-fashioned treasure hunt to find this new gear. And while we don't really know how Lou's armor or spear are going to look, we do have an idea about that Frankish sword. A while back, the French AC Twitter account showed the look of 6 one-handed swords in a now deleted tweet. Now we had one of these with the Sigurblot Festival and 4 in the Siege of Paris DLC, but the 6th one still remains unaccounted for. From the looks of it, it is another one of the Ulfbert swords, a different one than the Egbert we found in Francia. And some quick research on these swords tells us that they trace back their origins to Rhineland, named of course after the river Rhine, which coincidentally is a new raid location according to the leaks, and that region was at one point also a part of the Frankish Empire, so that definitely links this 6th sword to the information we already have on the new river raids. Which is awesome, as that means that dual wielding one-handed swords will be available for free to all players, provided that you got that Scrofnung sword during the Sigurblot Festival. But that's not all the new content coming to the river raids, as Jose already hinted that there would also be improvements to the risk-reward balance in the river raids, and one of Andy's discoveries fits that description perfectly. He namely found mention of Champions of Fate appearing in high alert missions. Now we don't know a lot about them, but it seems that they will appear either when or after you get a river to high alert. I expect the fights to be similar to the champion we fought at the end of the St. George quest chain, of course without your Jomsviking absolutely demolishing the boss. Yeah, thanks Helma, I had it covered, it's fine. Anyway, what's also exciting is that apparently these Champions of Fate have their own pool of weapons they can drop, as there's also mention of Champion of Fate weapons in the files. Now some of the weapons that were listed here are already found in the rewards for the mastery challenges, so I would once again like to remind you to take this info with a grain of salt, but the ones that have yet to appear in the game are Rollo's Lost Axe, which we can trace back to Francia, so that would actually make sense. The Celtic Crusher, which we can link back to Ireland, as Celtic mythology is brought up often during the Wrath of the Druids, and Sir Garrett's Holy Sword, which is related to the Knights of the Round Table and therefore likely found in England. So it looks like there might be a different weapon for each of the regions we will be raiding, which is of course very exciting. Anyway, we will find out soon enough, as the new update should be hitting next week and we will be seeing the new river raids then. We will of course let you know when we learn more, so subscribe to miss nothing. We also have a lot more information to share from that interview with Jose, so stay tuned for that too, and if you want, you can check out our previous video where we covered that newly released werewolf armor. Thanks everyone so much for watching, and goodbye!